Okay, we are live. Just get closer here. So let me just make sure that everything is good over on Facebook as well. Okay. All right, I think we're good there. All right, so it is day 12 of Lupus Awareness Month, and it is also day 12 of 31 days of lupus awareness, inspiration and motivation, being inspired by Fragrance After Rain by Dr. Jaiya John, or just a few lines actually coming from this. And today's inspiration is from page 279. Now, if you were not here yesterday, I do strongly suggest that you go back and watch yesterday's episode, because it was, I don't want to say it was completely unplanned, but what we had planned initially was not how things went yesterday. But you're going to absolutely enjoy yesterday's event, and you would probably want to learn a little bit more. We talked about EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, and my guest that was on yesterday is Kathy Baker. All of her info is there. She kind of explained, the different tapping areas, and I kind of discussed the link with the traditional Chinese therapy with relation to the EFT and the different tapping areas. So definitely go back and watch that episode, and I will also have it linked with this particular video today as well. But today we're going to be talking about sound and music and how they can heal the body, right? So let me find page 279. Here we are. So it says, tonight, put on music that melts you. Slow dance with your own soul. Do you wish to be free? Gather all the stories planted in your soul, over your lifetime and burn them in a ceremonial fire. What turns to ash and disappears in the sky were never your sacred stories to begin with. What turns to ash feeds the earth of your healing life and reemerges to flower in your now conscious heart and loving discernment. Those are your sacred stories. Carry them with you. Water them well. Sing to them. Send them far. If they are sacred, they will find the souls who need them to nourish them so they too can be free. Now there's a little bit more in there than just music, and we're going to address the second part I'll do that in another episode. But for today, it's all about music and sound and how they can be so healing. And if you've been watching me on my Lupus page on Facebook, you know that sound healing is one of the modalities that I've worked with and continue to work with to heal my body from lupus, or to support my body in the healing process, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and I'll also be sharing some of my tools with you that I work with. So healing with sound is believed to date back to ancient Greece, when music was used in an attempt to cure mental illness, right? So, but we know just how powerful music can be, right? I mean, if you've read the Bible, or how powerful even sound can be. If you've read the Bible, there's a story of the Battle of Jericho, and that to me ties in a lot more than just sound. There's also the numerology in there with the number 7, the amount of times that they marched around the city of Jericho, and then of course they blew their trumpets, and then the walls came tumbling down. So we know that the power of sound, but not just the sound, it's the that circling. And if you think of that circle, you think of the of things like tornadoes and hurricanes and that spiraling action, right? Just kind of building up energy. And then, of course, you have the numerology included in that with the number 7. But we know that sound can be a very powerful thing, and it is one of the tools that I've worked with and continue to work with in my healing journey. So we know that sound has the potential for so many things, and one of the things is processing emotion. And if I don't want to say if I know that if you've been diagnosed with pretty much any kind of chronic illness, that chances are you've gone through some period of depression and anxiety and that sort of thing. Because when you're given a diagnosis and then you're told that, well, you're going to be living with this diagnosis for the rest of your life, or with this particular illness for the rest of your life, and that there's no cure for it, and here's a huge box of pills that you're going to be taking for the rest of your life, and they're probably going to cause some side effects, and then we'll give you another pill for the side effects and all of that stuff. Chances are that whole thing can cause a spiral into depression. But we know the power of music. We know the power of sound, because if you've ever been to a concert, right? You think about your favorite band, your favorite musician, right? You can't, when you hear that they're coming to your town to do a concert, you just can't wait, right? Maybe it's a particular song that puts you back into high school days, right? You hear that song and then it just kind of puts you back in a place, in a moment even, right? Maybe you had a favorite song or a particular song that was played for your wedding and it just reminds you so much of your wedding, right? Maybe it was the song that was playing when you went on your first date. Who knows? But the thing is, we know the power of sound. We know the power of music, right? Because we've all experienced it. We've all experienced it. So we know just exactly how powerful it can be with other, when we're going through other types of events. There's one thing, my daughter always teases me, and whenever she calls and she's talking to her younger brother, if he says that so mom is cleaning right now, she always asks, is there soca music playing? And chances are there is, because whenever I'm cleaning, that's the music that kind of gets me in the mood to clean, right? And I always have that music going to kind of get me through the cleaning process. So there's certain types of music that I go to for certain things. If I'm exercising, I have an exercise playlist, and I'm going to talk about that a little later on as one of the things that you can do to kind of get you into this place where you work with music and sound on a regular basis, right? So processing emotions is one way that we can work with sound and with music. When I was younger, you could always kind of tell what sort of mood I was in based on what I was playing on the piano. Because I studied piano for many years, and if I came home from school and school was it was just a rough day, the music I played was a little bit more subdued. Or if I was kind of in a really jolly mood, then of course maybe some Scott Joplin was going on there. Um, it also kind of depended if I was practicing for some upcoming exam, because certain times of the year we had, examiners that would come from England, and so it all depended on that as well. But you could usually tell what kind of mood I was in based on what I was playing on the piano. So processing emotions. Preparing to sleep is another one. You wouldn't want to put on rock music if you were trying to go to sleep, right? Chances are you're going to put on something that's very, very relaxing. Maybe you're putting on some nature sounds to kind of help to lull you off to sleep. Maybe it's the water. Maybe you have the ocean sounds playing, or it could be maybe some birds that are chirping in the background, kind of helping you to kind of go off um, into a deep slumber, right? So sound can also prepare us to get ready to go to sleep. Road rage. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced road rage, right? Maybe you are one that's caused road rage, the bottom line is music can calm road rage. Chances are, if you've ever experienced road rage, maybe right after you kind of hit the radio button and you're just trying to find that one station that's playing a song that's just going to calm you down, right? Because if there's something playing that's going to if you're just kind of, so we're discombobulated because of what happened, you're going to look for some things. Either you're going to call someone or you're going to try to listen to something to kind of bring that level of tension down in your body. And a lot of the times you're going to probably change the station just to find something a little bit more relaxing to bring that level of tension down in your body, right? By doing that, it also helps to lower your blood pressure, right? Because when you're experiencing road rage, or maybe it's you're trying to go to sleep and something has happened throughout the day and your blood pressure is still running kind of high and you're just in that state, playing the right kind of music can also help to lower your blood pressure. Maybe you're healing from grief. So there's certain music, or there are certain songs that will probably kind of put you in that place, might make you cry, but crying isn't a bad thing because you're releasing energy from your body. Yes, you do miss the person, you're weeping for the person, you're grieving for that person. Or maybe it's not necessarily a person, it could be grieving over a relationship that's ended, right? So there's a lot of ways that you could be experiencing grief. So there could be music that you play, maybe it does cause you to cry, but it also is allowing you to kind of cleanse your body of that type of energy within your body as well. Okay, so crying is not always a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. It's just a way of purifying the energy in your body because you're releasing energy. I've talked a little bit about this earlier with anxiety and depression. You know, when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, a lot of the times we kind of see ourselves getting plunged into depression for a period of time, or it could be short or it could be long. Working with sound tools or working with music can also help to bring us up out of that depression. Music has also been known to improve memory, and this kind of ties in with classical music, which I'll talk a little bit about in some books I'm going to recommend. But when it comes to classical music, especially with Mozart and Beethoven, those types of music do tend to help with memory. And I'm not going to get into any detail as to how, but it also, for me, I found that it also helped with making me do better in math. That to me, looking back with all of the years that I studied music and just how well I did with math and statistics and all of this stuff, all the way through college, I fully believe that it was all of the training I received in classical music that allowed me to be able to do that well in math. And there have been a lot of studies done on this, so it's not just my opinion. There are studies that have been done relating to this. So music is, especially classical music, is just so good for this type of stuff. Now, back to lupus and pain and chronic illness in general. Sound and music have been worked with to help with pain reduction. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail when we talk about solfegio frequencies. There is one particular frequency that does help with, reducing pain that you might be experiencing. So this is one way that I've worked with my sound tools over the years, is to kind of help to reduce the pain level. Now, I also worked with it in combination with my, a lot of the different herbal remedies that I worked with, because there are certain herbs that, like turmeric and ginger. I also worked with a resin called frankincense, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. So, and as well as food like pineapple and sweet potatoes. Those are very good and very powerful anti-inflammatories. Also papaya. So I work with food as well as essential oils and sound as a combination of ways that I relieve and lower pain within my body, right? So I'm going to show you a few of the sound tools that I work with after we go through this. So pain reduction is a huge area that we can, as people who are going through with healing from different conditions, or whether it be lupus or some other autoimmune condition or some chronic illness, working with sound tools and music is a great way to help to reduce pain. You don't necessarily have to be popping a pain pill every minute that your body starts to hurt. You can work with sound in a very powerful way to relieve pain. Sound and music have also been worked with and studied when it comes to reducing risk of heart disease. So there are a lot of studies out there that you can go and research and see how people have worked with. Just see all of the studies that are being done to see how sound and music have helped to reduce the risk of heart issues. So sound healing is an ancient meditative practice. It's been, it utilizes a lot of different tools, not just one. And you can use it to create healing vibrations throughout the body. The tools that you work with help to create healing vibrations in the body. And your body is always vibrating. It's always vibrating. Your blood isn't stagnant. It moves throughout your body, right? As you're speaking, your voice box is actually creating vibrations, which allows the words to be formed and come out in order for you to hear them correctly, right? So your voice box is always vibrating as well whenever you're speaking. If you're humming, the sound is created from the rapid movement of the muscles in the voice box. Your heart is always pumping, and that's a regular beat, and that's actually the first sound that the baby hears in the mother's womb, right? Almost like a drum beat, right? So the body is always vibrating. Even the very cells, right? Our very cells are always kind of bouncing and creating this vibration in our body, because we are, let's say 75, 80% water. So we're always vibrating. We just don't feel it all the time, unless you put your hand on your heart, and then you can feel your heartbeat. Or sometimes you might, if you're very in tune with your body, you can probably feel like the slushing of the blood through certain veins. But it takes training to be able to get to that place. And it's not impossible, not really hard. It's something that I actually trained myself to do over the last number of years, to be really in tune with my body, to know what was going on. A lot of the times, if you have any kind of indigestion, right, you can kind of feel stuff moving through your intestines. So your body is always in motion, it's always vibrating. So we are a vibrational being. So working with these different tools that I'm going to share with you is just an extension of what our body is already doing anyway. These tools are just there to support, right? It's just they're there to support our body and to kind of try to get us back into that homeostasis where we need to be, right? So let's talk about a few of the tools that I work with. Just wanted to make sure I did have my singing bowl, because my daughter was working with it earlier. All right, so the first one I want to talk about is this one. This is the Tibetan singing bowl, and this is the tool here that I actually, you know what? Let's bring out one first. Before I start any kind of ritual, ceremony, one of the first things I like to do is I ring a bell. And I don't know if you've gone to church in the Caribbean, and I think maybe even over here, especially I think in small towns, prior to church starting, there's always someone out there ringing the bell, at least years back. Now they might be electronic. But the ringing of the bell it's a signal, yes, that church is about to begin. But the ringing of the bell is also helping to clear energy, right? It's helping to purify the energy so that as church begins, the energy around there is it's clear, it's purified, and that's pretty much kind of what when you ring the bell, it's a way for us to clear the energy in our space. But if you feel when you ring the bell, the sound, the energy that goes out, it reverberates in our body as well. And sometimes you can get goosebumps, which is a response to the energy that is being created, right? So one of the things I like to do is I tend to ring. This is the bell that just one of the bells that I have. So it's a very, very, very pure sound. So that is usually what I do first, is I just ring the bell. But the other tool I really love to work with as well is my Tibetan singing bowl. And it could be the Tibetan singing bowl. You can also have, there are also crystal bowls. I also have a quartz pyramid but I just don't have it. I don't have it here. So there's a quartz pyramid, which is just 8 pieces of quartz mixed with glass that have been formed together in a pyramid. And when you strike it, it's just such a beautiful sound. And every time I do it, I always get goosebumps, because the energy that it gives is just so pure, and it's so soothing and so relaxing. So there could be crystal bowls, it could be the Tibetan sound bowls. I want to go ahead and play this for you just for maybe a few seconds. Right. So the first thing I do, I just use this tool and really hoping that kind of came across the way that it was intended, because I know, sometimes when you're playing it in front of technology, it doesn't always sound the way that we're hoping it does. But it's a very soothing sound. So sometimes I just sit, and I just have that in front of me, and I just play it, and then I can just kind of literally feel it reverberating within my body. So there's the Tibetan singing bowl is what I have, and then you can also work with crystal bowls if you have those. You can also work with gongs. Gongs is a very powerful way. If you don't have a gong, you can also. Let me show you my drum. I have a small drum that I also work with, but I use my hand. Some people usually have like I guess I call it a mallet, but they tend to have bigger drums, right? Where they use a mallet and they would strike their drum. But this is just one of the tools also that I work with, is just the drum. And then I posted in the chat, I linked a video where I worked with a friend of mine who teaches how to connect your voice and your drum, right? So really teaches you that your voice, regardless of whether you have all of these sound tools or not, you have a tool already built within you, right? You have your voice. You also have 2 hands that create sound. So you have tools already built within. So there's the drum that I also work with. You can also work with gongs. The Australians, the what's that called, where the native Australians, the Aborigines, they've been working with the didgeridoo for over 40,000 years. And if you've ever heard the didgeridoo played, it is absolutely beautiful. I mentioned the voice already. So you can do, as far as the voice is concerned, you can do toning, you can do humming, you can sing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can work with your voice by itself, right? Another way is classical music. I mentioned creating a playlist of songs that are, think of you personally. You have and you experience different moods throughout the day. So when I say create a playlist, it's not just for that time when you're going to be really upbeat, right? It could be, you could have a combination. You could have a playlist for when you exercise, like I do. I mentioned that earlier. You could have a playlist for when you're feeling just really relaxed and you just, you just want to maybe going off to sleep. You want a playlist for that. Maybe you are meditating, so you might want to come up with a playlist for your meditation, right? So there are different, think about the different moods of you personally and create your playlists according to you, to all of your different moods or your different emotions. I know the word mood tends to, get a lot of flack, but when I say mood, I don't necessarily mean, oh, a bad mood, good mood, whatever. The different emotions that you might experience, right? Think of particular songs and create a playlist according to all of those emotions you might experience, or maybe different activities that you want to do. Yoga, for example, if you do yoga, then create a playlist specifically for that, right? So just go through, create a playlist that you are going to, that is specifically designed for who you are. So I wanted to share, let me continue sharing the rest of the tools that I have. So I did the bell, the Tibetan singing bowl. I also have a rattle, and I know you're probably thinking rattles, and those for children, but rattles are very powerful healing tools as well. And one of the ways I like to work with is if I'm feeling kind of anxious, I tend to get the rattle, or I also have this mini tambourine. Um, and all I do is I just simply go over my whole body and I literally just kind of rattle it throughout my whole body, my head to toe, including back, right? Because remember, you also have energy behind you as well as in front of you. And a lot of us tend to ignore behind because when we're walking forward, we're not looking behind, but we have energy or energetic field surrounds our whole body and extends out, right? So you don't want to ignore the behind. You also want to make sure that you address your energy behind you as well. You can also, another way that other people work with that is with working with crystals, but that's and clearing the energy that way. But since we're talking about sound and music and how they can be healing, we're going to work with the rattle. So the having a rattle or a tambourine, you can do the same thing. This is just a very mini tambourine, and I do the same thing. You just rattle and go over, and then I take from here and I continue, and I do the front, and as well as I do behind, starting with my legs as well and working all the way up. So those are the two rattles, so to speak, the tambourine and that rattle. And I've spoken about this in a previous live stream. These are tuning forks. And one of the things I am going to talk about are frequencies. And I did mention before, in a previous live stream, that frequencies are one of the ways that I also work with supporting my body. And they're what we call solfegio frequencies. So let me go to that list so I can, share with you what they are. These can all be found. Videos of these can all be found on YouTube. So all you have to do is just type in solfegio frequencies on YouTube, and that's spelled Solfeggio. I will go ahead and I will just go ahead and type it in so you will see how it is spelled. It's solfeggio frequencies, and me go ahead and I will show this so you'll see what I'm talking about. And then let me explain to you the ones that I've worked with in the past. And I did a course called Soul Shift. This was a few years back, and we worked with one particular frequency every single month, right? And the very first one that we started off with was the pain frequency, the one that helps to relieve tension and pain. And that is the 174 hertz. So 174 hertz is for the release of tension and pain. And then the next one is 285 hertz, which is considered to be for safety and protecting your energy. All of these technically are protecting your energy in some form, but 285 is specifically for safety, energy protection. 396 hertz is for relieving fear and guilt. So if you've been going through a period where you're just really trying to maybe get a program going on Facebook, or to kind of step out of your comfort zone to try that particular activity, but you're just so afraid of what other people are going to think, that sort of thing, the 396 hertz is going to be a very powerful frequency for you to work with. 417 is for facilitating change, and again, you can work with the combination of 396 and 417 if you're going through that period where there's something that you know that you need to do to change something, but you're afraid. So you can go between 396 and 417. 528 is considered to be like the love frequency. It's the frequency that is said to create miracles and transformation. It also can help with DNA repair. And I think I've shared this in a previous live stream where the 528 frequency is the frequency that was worked with in helping to heal the Gulf Coast. If you remember, many years back, when there was an oil spill, and so many fish died and the plants died out, that sort of thing. Well, the 528 frequency was what was pumped into the Gulf Stream to kind of help to facilitate that area healing and bouncing back from all of the damage that had occurred from the oil spill. So 528 is a very, very powerful frequency. You can also work with the 528 frequency as far as in your body, repairing the DNA. We're always told that one of the things that I remember being asked when I went to my doctor about, when I was first diagnosed with lupus was, well, does it run in your family? Who else in your family has it? And there was nobody. But that's what what I'm talking about when we refer to DNA repair. If there is something that kind of runs in your family, and you're kind of working to shift that energy, this is the 528 frequency is one that you can work with to kind of support that journey. There are other things that you can do as well. But just because they say something runs in the family doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take that on as being written in stone. You can change your DNA. You can heal your DNA. You can create your DNA to be whatever it is you want it to be. There used to be a time when they said, yes, your DNA, that's it. But it's no longer just your DNA, right? So you can heal your DNA, you can repair your DNA. And one of the ways that we work with that you can do that is by working with the 528 frequency. The next frequency is 639. And that one is about reconnecting and enhancing relationships. The next one is 741, which is all about awakening your intuition. So it kind of helps you to, if you're trying to come up with a solution to an issue, working with the 741 will kind of help you to find solutions. It's also about self-expression, that sort of thing. So 741 is for awakening your intuition. The next frequency is 852, which is said to attract your soul tribe. So when you're going through a period and you're trying to really connect to people who are going to help you on your journey. That working with the 852 frequency is said to kind of call in the people who you really need to be in your inner circle, so to speak. The last frequency is 963, and that's considered to be the one where you connect with spirit or you connect with God. But the first one that I mentioned was 174, and that is a very, very powerful one if you've been diagnosed with any kind of chronic condition where there's a lot of pain involved. So the 174 frequency to relieve tension and pain, I would highly recommend starting with that particular frequency. There are two tuning forks here I wanted to share with you. This one is the 528 frequency, and you can see it's imprinted on there. So one of the ways that I work with this particular one is I have some tea here. You can't see it, but there is tea in this mug. So if you and it could be tea, could be coffee, it could be juice, it could be water. You can charge up your water using the 528 frequency simply by striking. So I'm hoping that you can hear that. And then once you've struck it, you simply place the end into the particular liquid that you might be drinking. And what it does is it floods the beverage or the water, it floods it with that 528 frequency. So when you are, let me set this down. Once you've done that, and then you go to take a sip, you're drinking the energy that you just put in using the 528 frequency. All right, so that's another way that I work with frequencies as well. This is the 528, and then I also have one here, which is the 963, which is the one I mentioned. Is this the 963? Yes, this is a 963. She said to be connecting to spirit, connecting to God, but I also work with this as far as the awakening intuition. So, and the thing is, there's so many ways that, since I've been working with these tuning forks for quite a while, I don't necessarily limit them to just what it says here. If I'm in pain, I don't say, well, I don't have a 174 hertz. I can put on the frequency on the video from YouTube, or I can just simply grab the 528 and I can strike it. And okay, let's say for a moment that I might be experiencing some pain here. I just simply strike the tuning fork. Let's go over here. And then I just take it and I just place in that area where I may be experiencing pain, and the vibration goes through and it helps to relieve that pain. Right? So there are a lot of different ways that I work with the particular tuning forks. So those are the Solfegio frequencies. And let me share with you one more tool. Let me set this down. The last tool is the last one that I have here is the rain stick. This is a very soothing sound. The other day I was working with it, and then literally like within about maybe 30-40 minutes, it started to rain. So I'm not saying I caused it to rain, but it is called a rain stick. And back in the day, that's what they worked with, right? The Native Americans, when one of the things, and there are other cultures that do the same thing, they work with the rain stick to kind of call in rain, right? But I work with this in the sound kind of helps to recalibrate my body, so to speak. If I'm experiencing any kind of discomfort, I grab this and I can almost imagine as I flip it. When I flip it over, you'll hear the sound. But as I flip it and the beads start to fall down and they create that effect, that sound, then I also imagine that within my body, all of my cells are kind of recalibrating as well, and kind of creating that rippling effect and going back to the homeostasis that I'm looking for. So it's setting the intention as well as the visualization, and then also working with the tool, if all of that makes sense, right? So as I'm hoping that you can, it's a very, very soothing sound. And sometimes when I'm working with this, I almost get like goosebumps as I kind of feel the energy kind of working through my body, right? So those are just a few of the tools that I work with. So I think I've told you everything that I have up here. If you would like, we can actually spend like just one whole session just on sound alone. Since I kind of went through and just explained, but maybe I can call in a few other people, because I know several people who do drum circles, and also work with a lot of the tools that I have here. So maybe if that's something that you'd be interested in, we can put together a panel where I can have maybe 5 or 6 people come in, and we can do a sound healing session, right? Just to kind of share with you how we can work with sound as a healing modality, not always with pills, right? But I also work with herbs as well as essential oils in the healing process as well, in addition to sound therapy. So I did say I wanted to share a few books with you that would also kind of help you to, kind of can read up on some of the information that I've given you. This one is called The Mozart Effect. This one is written by Don Campbell. There is another one called The Power of Sound by Joshua Leeds. There's this one is called Human Tuning by John Buelow, and that particular one is all about tuning forks and working with tuning forks to tune the human body, right? The other one is by Jonathan Goldman, and that book is called Healing Sounds. Then there's one by Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Mitchell Gaylor. I had to remember his name there for a second. Got the name written, the book written down. Dr. Mitchell Gaylor wrote a book called The Healing Power of Sound. And that particular book is what I would highly recommend for anyone going through, challenges from chronic illness, dealing with pain, that sort of thing. Because this particular one, this specific book, The Healing Power of Sound by Dr. Mitchell Gaylor, is all about recovery from life-threatening illnesses using sound, your voice, and music. So those are just a few of the books that I would recommend. And then, of course, I mentioned all of the different solfeggio frequencies. You can simply go to YouTube, type in solfeggio frequency. I've spelled it here for you in the chat, and you can see all of the different ones that I was mentioning. But the one specifically for pain that I would recommend for anyone dealing with chronic illness and pain from chronic illness would be the 174 frequency. But all of them are very powerful frequencies. Okay, I hope that was a little bit informational, educational, all of that stuff. So if you'd like to learn more, I would, I'd be willing to, like I said, put together a panel, and we can do a whole session of sound healing. Or if you have questions about any particular tool that I might have shared here, just simply feel free to put a comment in the chat, or just send me a direct message and I can respond in that way. Or if you have, if there are a lot of questions that pop in about one particular tool, maybe I'll just go back and I can just do a video relating to that one particular tool, because I know I went through them a little fast today. But I could talk about each of these tools and how you can work with them in a whole session by themselves. All right, so I will see you all tomorrow. We'll probably be a little bit earlier tomorrow. I'll be here for the at 5 for the lupus awareness. And then I'll be on at 5:55 with MJ for our tea talk. It's usually on Tuesdays, but we shifted it this week because tomorrow is Friday the 13th. So we decided, you know what, let's just do something different. So Friday the 13th at 5:55, we will be on for tea talk tomorrow as well. Thank you all for being here with me for these few minutes. And like I said, if you have any questions or if you'd like to learn more, just simply go ahead and send me a message, pop the comment in the chat, and either way, you'll be able to find me somehow. All right. Thank you so much again. And I will see you all again real soon. Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for being here.